Thank you so much for staying with us. Still AM 120 on the BCS. And yes, it's the Monday edition. We now move to the conversation part of today's show. We told you earlier on that today, the 16th of October, is the World Food Day as declared by the United Nations, in recognition of the import of food as one of the basic necessities of man. Food, shelter, and clothing. And of course, I believe food being the number one. And in that regard, our very first guest this morning is Dr. Idowu Adewumi. Well, he wears how many caps? 2, 3 caps. He teaches it. He teaches Agric. Of course, he practices it. In that regard, he's an Agric expert in theory and practice. We welcome you most warmly to our studio this morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It's World Food Day, 16th of October. It's to spotlight, promote awareness of hunger and action for the future of food, people, and the planet. But I have a headline here that says, Nigerians groan over persistent increase in cost of food. That reminds us of the situation in this country. What do you make of this?
You know, this doesn't start today, and it doesn't start with this administration. There's a law in agriculture: whatever you want to eat, you produce ahead. So, for example, now what we are eating in 2023 is what we have started cultivating since 2022. So the general proverb that if you fail to prepare you prepare to fail is exactly what is happening in this country, and not only in Nigeria. To be let's be sincere with ourselves. It's not only in this country that we are facing this, it is around the globe. It will interest you that almost 1 billion people across the globe, they are suffering from this
Hunger.
From hunger. They were unable to have their 3 square meals, and that's not peculiar to this country, as we know that we're just 200 million as claimed. But of course, you will see the initiative of Mr. President, what he's trying to do as regards the food security now, and lifting of ban on some food items.
Right.
And I think he's smart enough to do that, because since you can't produce at that point, then you have to find a way to import. And that is exactly what he's doing as regards grains, rice, and some other food items, palm oil, and the rest. Of course, it's a shameful thing. It's something that is a big blow on a high. As we speak, we're supposed to be talking about exporting at this point, not about importing. But of course, it doesn't start with Mr. President. The previous administrations, they have failed to do what they're supposed to do for agriculture. And that is why we are actually clamoring at this point that a government should please wade into this issue of agriculture, and they should try as much as possible to help our people out. Sincerely yours, farmers are suffering. I've just returned back from Okeogunazis, and I know what is operable over there. Mr. President told us in his speech in May 29 that he's going to set up agricultural and food commodity price board.
Right.
Till today, we have not seen that. We need that like now. People are producing, they don't know where to sell to. And do you know that till today, still middlemen that are actually taking the profit of what's supposed to go to the farmers. Farmers are there. In fact, you will pity them when you meet local farmers, what they are going through. It's not easy for farmers to produce. Farmer is buying their input in dollars, and it will interest you that they are selling in naira. And you should know what that one means. If ideally it's supposed to be vice versa, it's supposed to be buying in naira and selling in dollars. And that is what can actually improve the system. But as we speak, I will tell you that farmers are not smiling. the real farmers. Of course, the commodity sellers, which they are the middlemen, they are the ones that are going to their banks with, big Ghana must go, and farmers are the ones that are producing. And at the same time, the government initiative about, okay, since we can't produce what we're supposed to eat, then let's try as much as possible to, contact neighboring countries and let them bring it in. I think that is fantastic, because even though as we speak, the law has not even, the law enforcement agencies, they have not even effect that. Because, like I said, I've just returned back from Okiogun, as is Shaki to be precise, and it will interest you that customs people are still searching for rice when government have actually lifted the ban, and as we speak, they are still searching. Do you carry rice? In fact, it's as bad as people carrying a bag, stopping them, impounding their products and the rest. So, at this, and I know if government said, okay, we have actually banned certain products, less than 30 minutes, we know what happened when it comes to the issue of the fuel subsidy. Mr. President have not even dropped the mic before fuel station actually increases their prices. Look at a number of days now that Mr. President has actually made pronouncements as regards lifting of banners on about 40 items or thereabouts, because he needs food security at this point. If you can't produce, then let's find a way to feed our people.
Let's backtrack a little bit. You say there are some things that were failed to do in the past, hence the current results that we have on our hands. What are some of these things that you're referring to? This day, which is World Food Day, was actually crafted out, by the United Nations. And the United Nations always have the focus on the percentage of what each country budget should look like for agriculture. Let's go back to our budget and let's check, do we meet United Nations quota for agriculture? The answer is no. Meaning what? Meaning previous administration have not been funding agriculture in the way they ought to do. Let's go back and check what is happening to federal government budget for agriculture and now scale it down to state. They have not been doing enough to actually make sure that they provide what is required. Somebody like me, I'm a researcher, I'm a lecturer. How much is being released for these research institutes to actually make, researches for, okay, how do we have food sustainability, food security, and the rest? That's another question. Let me give you an example now. For our project students, for example, why they can't compete with people outside there is that, okay, somebody in US that is studying the same agriculture or agricultural engineering, as the case may be, it will interest you that their government will tell you, okay, for your project, we have $30,000 for you to run a particular research. In Nigeria, they have #0 for them. And you will see that students, they were usually eager to know who is their project supervisor. When they know their project supervisor, I'm telling you, for the next a year or thereabout, they will be dodging for their supervisor. Why? What is wrong? Because of 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira or thereabout that they want to use to carry out the research. So the money is not there. So if government have been doing what they're supposed to do, there will be grants for these students that they will use to run, there will be, government is not compulsory that government should actually use their money. They can compel industries. Look at the number of industries we have. They can tell them 1% of whatever you are making as profit or whatever must go to research. Just like we have this ITF and the rest, ETF funds and the rest. They can have that. That they will now compare that this is specifically for agricultural research.
And you should imagine if they are remitting 1% of whatever they are making every day for agric, you should imagine what agric we have to actually run research. And when we run research, and what we now have to actually scale up the research. A lot of researches are there that we have done. They are still on shelf as we speak.
Which is the question I was about to ask you. We also hear about researchers just gathering dust on shelves because somehow it does not get to those who really need it, the farmers.
Yeah, it won't get to them because researchers, there are different links. As we speak, who are the people that are supposed to take these researches out? Majorly, they are agric extension agents. Find out what is their percentage as we speak in the country. That is still government issue. Government will tell you don't have money to employ them. Government will tell you the one that they employ, we don't have money to actually, sponsor them for maybe dissemination of this information. And of course, thank God for a station like yours that you are actually deeming it fit to invite researchers like us to come online and come and tell people, okay, what and what we have been doing. What happens to Farmer Show? Has this country been doing that? Has Oyo State been actually up to, okay, what Farmer Shows look at what the state governor is doing now. Of course, kudos to him, giving grants to farmers, But the question is that how many local farmers are accessing these grants? Who are the farmers? These are questions that government should ask. But ask them today, did you know farmers? They will tell you, yes, we have their database. Go and find out. The database they are political farmers. They are not real farmers. We know what happens in Oyo State, is it not 2020 or 2021, when they took some people out of this state to, is this Zamfara or Nasarawa or thereabouts, and they claimed they went to train them in the area of agriculture. The question is that this is few years back. What is the result? Hunger.
I mean, those questions we're going to be asking.
When you look at the Nigerian landscape, we want to ask, is there any area in which we are self-sufficient in food production?
Yeah.
In which areas?
Especially when you go to the northern part and the middle.
No, I mean in specific crops that were.
Okay, in specific crops.
Yeah.
A lot of our crops, we have capacity in production, but we have problem in processing and storage. That's the major problem. Let me give you an example now. Where we have our strength in this part of the country, especially in Oyo State, for example, is in the area of cassava. But ask question about what happens to cassava production in Oyo State. People will tell you, go to Okeogun, Barakpa, and the rest. You will see different, cassava farms that are doing fine. But the problem lies on what happens to post-harvest production. And that is, the problem is processing. A lot of these crops, the farmers have issues about, okay, what happens to their processing? Because they can't process, they can't store. So then, you know that they are all perishable crops.
What about the capacity, for instance, to turn cassava into gari? We don't have installed capacity to process?
They don't have local farmers doesn't
not necessarily the farmers themselves, but those who process this.
The processor also, they are limited. How many processors do we have? What we are advising government to do now is to have maybe community processing centers, community storage centers.
Way back, 50s, our Obafemi Awolowo government did that.
Yeah.
Organized farmers into cooperatives.
We still have that. In Ido, we still have that, what Obafemi Awolowo did. We still have those processing center, moribund, over there. What are the governments doing now at the state and even federal level?
Why do we have to be so deep? Government, can't people organize themselves?
Because government doesn't provide an enable environment.
Such as?
Let me tell you, sir, the policy of government does not support investors to come in I'm telling you, sir, your state government should listen to this. You can't imagine that governor will sign something, civil servants will find a way to bring problem to that the document that governor has already signed. Governors
Give us an insight into that.
Governors are not looking into this. We have PPPs that have collapsed, even in our state. I won't give you details of that PPP because we are still trying to fine-tune, we are still trying to talk to government in such area where we can fine-tune the PPP. If people are bringing their money, in fact, in front of governor's house here, over 60 million was wasted. 60 million of individuals, not government money. And you are still encouraging investors to come to the same state and waste their money. That is exactly what is happening. See, we don't have favorable government policies that back up people. Let me tell you, sir, 2018-2019, there was a forecast where some of us were on media like this to tell people that, oh, there's going to be problem about food. There's going to be scarcity. Okay, people actually adding to this, we encourage them to go back to farm. And of course, a lot of people outside the country invested their money in agriculture. Government promises that, oh, we'll give you land to go and farm. We'll make sure we'll provide water. We'll make sure we'll do this. Government didn't fulfill their promises. A lot of them, at the end of the day, they ended up buying land with the money that they budgeted for production. So what happens? At the end of the day, there is this water issue. Rainfall stops. Then majority of crops actually burnt on that field. Millions of naira were wasted. As farmer, within 2019 and now, how much local farmers have lost? A majority of them, they are in serious debt as we speak, including some of us. I can tell you this. Why? Because production collapses. Some production that come out from the field very well. We have issue of a price crash at the end of the day. 2020, we were selling a capstar of cassava for 250,000 naira. Ask local farmers that are listening now. Go and ask them how much is a capstar of cassava as we speak. 120,000, 130,000. Out of that 120,000, to interest you that they will collect about 20,000 for uprooting the cassava and for, uploading the cassava. So how much goes to farmer? The farmer at the end of the day gets around 80,000 thereabouts. Go and ask for the production cost for that cassava. It might be over 100,000. So how do you want the commercial people to stay in the farm? People that you can see in the farm as we speak, they are the local baba and mama that they don't have choice. That is what they do. And they don't do what we call bookkeeping. They don't keep records. Their own is that they have joy in what they are doing. They don't take that agriculture as agribusiness.
It is a way of life.
That's what they are just
That's
doing.
not business.
They don't take it as a business. They take it as their way of life. When I wake up, I must get to farm. I must make sure I do one or two things. That is what they are doing.
I'm curious, the
smart.
situation with regard to cassava, what were the factors that led to the price drop that you just referenced?
Well, the factors, number one, has to do with the dollar, the forex issue. Because all these chemicals, the inputs that farmers are using, they are not produced here. What they are just doing here is just to mix it. They import virtually everything. So at the end of the day, let me give you an example. In 2020 we were buying a bottle, 1 liter of herbicide for 600 naira. Ask farmer now. Is within 4,000, 5,500 naira. And you know number of herbicide. One of the headache that Southwest farmers have as we speak is weed. They actually weed their farm. You weed minimum of 3 to 4 times before you have your harvest. You can't understand what this one means. When you have like 100 of hectares, you should imagine how much you'll be investing for herbicide alone. Because as your crop are growing, the weeds are competing. And that is why in the southwest here, farmers that have maybe for cassava now that can have 5 tons per acre, you will see them jubilating. Meanwhile, in Brazil, meanwhile, in Southern America, in countries where their soil are not even good for production of cassava, they're having 20 tons per acre.
That's dependent on the quality of input.
Quality of input.
Seedlings.
Quality of the soil. How did you treat your soil? The water requirement, what happens to it? Farmers that doesn't have, you will see them, they will be telling you, is it cassava? They are drought resistant. That's the meaning of that. Even if human being doesn't take water, you should understand what will happen to that human being. And this thing, they are living thing. And that is why I used to tell farmer, we did a training to some extent that I used to tell farmer that visit your farm. Don't leave workers on feed alone. Do you know why? Those plants knows who owns them. And that will be interesting. It might just be like a dog. When you are raising a dog now. A dog knows that you are the owner. And he knows that this is the servant that is just trying to help out, to bring in food. That's how plants are too. So you don't give them water, you just assume that, nothing will happen to them. You can see. Something has happened to them. The what's it called? The output will be reduced.
Against the backdrop of climate change, let's look at how we've not been able to tap into irrigation, especially in this part of the country. Why is it?
We have many opportunities. Some of us have put position papers up to government, not only in Oyo State, even at the federal level, even at some state level.
What were the recommendations you advanced?
The recommendation is to use our dams. We have Ashejire, we have, Eleyele, we have different dams, rivers around the state. We even advise Water Corporation of Oyo State that come. Let's forget about looking at, the problem is how to channel water to various homes. No. A lot of us, we are even minister of water. Why? Because the worst or the least you have in your house is well. You have, the majority of people, they have boreholes in their communities, in their houses. So the problem now is that farmers, let's dam some of this river. Let's channel it to farms. It's not what is science rocket. They are doing it over in northern part of the country. And it's working. You will see their state governors delivering dams to their farmers. What are we doing here? What we are just thinking of is that let's get drinking water from the dams. No. We should be able to send those water because let me tell you, sir, to irrigate 1 acre of land, you will spend nothing less than within 400,000-500,000 naira, if not more now. That is provided you have your borehole already.
Right.
There is the cost of the borehole or any water source is not included. So how many farmers can afford that?
As a teacher and practitioner, what will be your counsel to government?
Well, my advice to government is that there are 2-3 things that I will advise them to do. Number one, they should set up at various states agricultural price commodity.
Commodity boards? Okay.
That will help farmers. In fact, if we have commodity board today, you will see that what will be present in this country will not be agriculture, but it will be agribusiness. Okay. Because I will know that government is going to buy a ton of cassava from me, maybe at 100,000 naira. Then I will find a way to cut all my production cost per that ton production to about 70,000, 80,000. That means I will know that, I have gain of 20,000. I mean, to business. It's quite different from a situation whereby, as I'm talking to you, it will interest you that we have different produce on farm. That farmers are calling us, please help us to find buyers. And do you know what? All those off-taker, whatever, they usually buy at a very, very ridiculous price. That's just the point. Especially those people that usually give them input or give them money before they go to farm. You will see, you can't imagine that somebody is getting a ton of cassava at this point with 50,000 naira. A ton.
Commodity boards, you want them back?
Yes, commodity board for all crops must be back. One. Two, government should provide land. There should be a law for agricultural land. You go and check now. Majority of the agricultural land has been turned to estate. Even by government, not even by individual. So there should be a law. They should go and gazette agricultural land law properly. We have it. Not that we don't have it. They should enforce it. And they should circle out a particular area in each state for agriculture. That we are not going, even if we are going to develop this place, it's going to be farm settlement. It's going to be farm estate. Not that it's going to be residential estate. A lot of places have been turned to residential estate, even in Oyo State. Government should please provide land for these farmers. People want to invest. That's the fact. People have millions of naira, even outside this country, that they want to invest into agriculture. They love agriculture. But a lot of them, they have burned their finger because there's no government support. Now, another headache that is important is water. Government must find a way to provide water for farmers.
3 issues: commodity boards, water, and land.
Yes, sir.
Well. Those points are well taken. Thank you so much, Dr. Idowu Adewumi. We've been in conversation within the past 40 minutes or thereabout. Today is World Food Day, and he has illuminated our minds regarding the teaching and the practice of agri. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Do stay tuned. We'll be back for the second segment of the conversation this morning.